Hey guys, this is Random Stuff with Alex Hughes, and I believe today is day 13 of trying to tie up some loose ends. As you guys can see, I'm actually recording this on my HTC Evo 4G, which was released about 10 years ago now. And I actually this was my first phone that I bought by myself. And I bought this about a year ago. I remember as a kid seeing it, so that's why I was like, hey, I can actually buy it now. But yeah, so my other phone is pretty full of videos that I still have to upload, so that's kind of why I have to use this right now. But overall, yeah, let's see. So today I woke up around actually 5:30. So I woke up around the usual time. It was still pretty dark, but I was able to set my intention to be mindful today and just kind of making sure that I always remember the affirmations, that I'm in control of my thoughts and that I can pick and choose what thoughts I want and that just stay in the present moment. And I think I'm in a test phase, right? The universe tries to test me. I think right now that's where I'm at, where I'm receiving those tests because I want to be mindful, I want to be focused, I want to be able to kind of move beyond the cycle that I think throughout most of my life I've had some sort of, this I would say rumination, this cycle of just getting caught up on one thing and then it just repeats itself like a broken record. And so I've had that for a while. There's the reaction, and I know that, logically, I know that it's BS. I could say it out loud that it's like BS, and it's not worth my time to think about, and that, I know the tricks of the mind. Like, after, I know the way the mind works, I know the amygdala, I know how, thoughts come up, and that there's a reaction, and then, because you have the reaction, then it keeps going, and then the more energy you put into it, the more it just churns out. So I understand that component of it, and I understand that it's part of the cycle. It's part of the fear and the fear and anxiety, the cycle there. And so for me, it's just about trying to remember that. It's been a while because for a while I didn't really focus on personal development a lot. I didn't focus a lot on managing stress, or I was just on the go. I was actually doing a lot of things with like community service, and I don't think I was focusing enough on trying to maintain my mental health. So mental health is very important as well as physical health. And so now that's what I'm doing is, I think, like I said, this is going to be the last summer that I'm going to deal with any of this stuff related to, the thoughts, the violent thoughts and whatnot. Those, intrusive thoughts. I remember, it's going to be the last summer. I'm going to be done with it. I think that, I'm going to be able to stay focused in the present moment and recognize the cycle and be able to just keep putting my attention back without having to, interact with the thoughts in any way, because I know that if I interact, it just feeds the thoughts, so I'm trying to starve the thoughts. But yeah, that's what I was doing. I try to stay focused as I was, on a walk, trying to maintain the present moment, and I was watching some videos. I was actually just trying to find some videos about, thoughts and building new habits, because building new habits takes time, and it does take a lot of mental energy, because your mind's so used to thinking and behaving in a certain way, so you're trying to reassert control over your mind and whatnot, and trying to build those new habits. But yeah, so I think I remember. Oh, it was Ajax. I remember, man, I haven't watched his videos for a while because he took a break. He was in the NoFap journey, Ajax Unchained. I watched some of his videos over the years, but not as much as before. And so it's really cool to get back to Ajax and to see he's definitely delved deep into the spiritual journey. And he's kept it up and he's working on it. And then beyond that, I came back. Actually had a pretty good. I changed up my meditation, but it was actually pretty good. Was able to stay focused in the present moment, and I watched a interview, with Tiny Tempa. His, I guess, the pros and cons of success, and then I ended up had some time, so I was actually working on my Twitter for A Taste of North Santa Fe. And trying to follow pages, trying to build that page as well. Twitter doesn't seem as active as Instagram, but beyond that, I was able to, Twitter, social media. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I had my smoothie, which is actually pretty good, very simple. And then I had my leftovers, and then I ended up leaving, going to Miracosta. Really nice day out, Miracosta, very clear, great breeze, and just trying to get used to how quiet it is on campus, because it's so weird to have that quietness. I'm not trying to focus on it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, if people choose to stay home, I mean, for me, it's like, I gotta stay focused on what I'm doing. And so I did apply for like 7 jobs, trying to be more discerning, because before I was just taking what I could get. So I was like, oh, this job, this job, this job. Whereas now I'm really thinking like, maybe I should be more like aware of what I'm applying to and where I'm spending my time. So I did apply for more. I think one of the people actually looked at my resume. That was a company in San Marcos. So I'm pretty excited to hear some responses back. Yeah, I was so committed. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this job search until I keel over. And right now, it's like I'm not taking that seriously, because I have a Taste of North Santa Fe, and I'm working on that. I didn't receive any responses back, but I'm determined. Like I said, I invested in this, and I've invested time and money into A Taste of North Santa Fe, so I'm not giving up as easily. Those restaurants are going to keep hearing back from me, whether or not they like it or not. So, yeah, I was working on A Taste of North Santa Fe, doing some follows. I was actually listening to the Josh Speaks. I haven't listened to his channel for a while. I've actually been subscribed for maybe like 5 years now. You know, some advice when I was being a simp. But now it's like, yeah, a lot of his dating advice, but stuff about anger, which I was trying to work on. I noticed that, that sense of adjective started to build up. But beyond that, I ended up actually went to Stater Brothers, got some bread, milk, peanut butter, some basics. And then I ended up coming back, working on my social media. The social media stuff does take time with Instagram, like working on my just Taste North Santa Fe page. But overall, things are going pretty well. Like I said, it's the test. Like I said, the universe is testing me, and I know the test. I've been through the test many times before, and I always have to remember that this is probably the easiest it's ever been, because of what I've gained over the last 4 years now. It's crazy how long it's been. But the test is going great. Like, I'm not letting the outside world really affect me too much in terms of, like, the news events. I could care less about what's going on in the news. I've tuned that out. Before, I was a lot more, I guess, affected by that. I'm a lot stronger than what I was. And just overall, what I would say is that I think that I've learned a lot of techniques, and I know that I'm gonna be able to control my thoughts the way I want them to, because the reality is I'm not getting any, like, I wouldn't say, like, panic attacks or anxiety attacks. It's not anything that serious to that point. It's actually just like at most 5 to 7 seconds of that kind of uncertain feeling, but then it goes away. And what I've noticed is it's sometimes at Miracosta, I feel those kind of uncertain feelings, but then it's probably because of the associations that I've made with MiraCosta of feeling that uncertainty. And it could also be because of the environment. You know, it's so quiet on campus, and that quiet can be kind of eerie. Sometimes I notice it coming back home, but that's also just a program. And then I've noticed it, yeah, just like right when I get home. Sometimes when I'm at home, I notice it, but that's also programming, just as an association. Because what happens is, you know, you associate a certain place with certain feelings. Like, you know, you go to maybe a restaurant and you're like, oh man, I feel so hungry. And so you associate those feelings with that certain area. So I could associate like MiraCosta with fear, you know, that tension, pressure, you know, excuse me. And so it's all about, sorry guys, it's all about association. I think once I recognize the cycle again, because I'm being more conscious over the last couple of months, you know, whereas I was starting to get very unconscious and just starting to kind of not really pay attention to my mind. I kept telling myself, you know, when you tell yourself something, like, oh, hey, you got to stay focused, you got to pay attention, that message just kept coming to me. Finally listened to it, and just in this present, I'm just trying to stay in the present moment, and I think that things are working a lot better, I would say, in terms of what's been happening. Just I feel like I'm a lot more focused and a lot more deciding of what I want to focus on, which is awesome, because it's a lot better than chasing after a million things just to distract yourself from the fear and thoughts. You know, overall, I felt like I was able to stay mindful. There were definitely moments of mental clarity, and I was able to definitely recognize the cycle. Just remember, I have to keep remembering that it's part of the cycle, it's part of the thought cycle. You know, I've been through this millions of times, and this time it's going to be the last time. It's not going to come back again, and I'm going to be able to rise above. Get to the point where I'm literally conscious and aware. And that'll be a point that I've never gotten to before, but it'll be the biggest change in my entire life, you know. So other than that, yeah, I had my smoothies as usual, guys. Of course, keep the smoothies in. Had a little bit less of the smoothies. Take a little bit of a break. Not too much. I always have the smoothies, but the sweetness. But you know, I went on my walk. I did my you know, listening to some YouTube videos, and I came back, and you know, it was a very productive day. You know, job searching, sending out those applications. But I realized it's not as hard as it looks. I just got to stay focused. That's why I use those binaural beats. It's been a while since I listened to those. You know, when I'm actually doing sit-down work, I was able to focus. And like I said, the cool thing is just this idea that the feelings of uncertainty don't stick around as long as they used to. Sometimes there's that fuel, like the brain loves to pump that adrenaline, and then but it always fades away. That's one of my I wrote actually post notes. I've been writing quotes again. That it's like you got to ride the wave, because the wave gets shorter and shorter every single time you ride it, and eventually you'll have control. But it's all a test. It's a test, and eventually the test becomes you pass the test. And as long as you stay conscious of your reactions to the world around you, then you're going to be able to be conscious when you want to, rather than that kind of pre-programmed, and the cycle keeps running. And it could be the cycle of, you know, the anger cycle, right? You know, keep reacting to the same people and the same situations, and if you don't change it, it's just going to keep running and running and running. Like, it doesn't stop until you actually consciously become aware of it and say, hey, I'm actually gonna put the discipline, because it's not just motivation, because you could be motivated and then one day and then the next day you're like, you just go back to the same thing, like those New Year's resolutions where it's like people want to do something to better themselves, but then it falls flat again because it's all about staying focused. And yeah, the cool thing is, last thing is that I got my associate's degree in the mail, and so it's definitely a motivational thing, and so I'm glad to see that came in, and it's all about, I guess the lesson is it's all about focus, guys. Like, stay on the path, right? Because with the college degree stuff, you could always just change your major, but the reality is it's like you got to focus on something. So if you take all these classes without any sort of direction, then it's kind of like, what are you doing it for? But if you have a goal in mind, like, I want to get this degree, and then you stick with the plan and you just keep at it, Of course, there's going to be the homework, guys. There's going to be the procrastination, which is huge, but you just got to stay focused on what you want to accomplish, and you stay disciplined and you just keep at it, and then the time starts to get shorter and shorter, and then eventually you got your degree and you can pat yourself on the back and be like, it took time, but I learned a lot, and it's all about recognizing that there's always something to take away from school. With college, it's not just all toss away information. Like, you take a public speaking course, and now you know how to speak if you want to do, like, city council meetings, if you want to do maybe business, or even just taking that in your daily life about how to speak more effectively. You take a philosophy course and you better understand how to critically think and to really discern arguments, because not everything you hear out there is true or makes sense. And once you start to think critically about the world around you, you realize that a lot of things are not as they seem. And I guess that kind of goes into the red pill versus the blue pill, where, it's like, just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true. Because at the end of the day, people don't really think too much. They don't really think too much. Which actually sounds like an awesome thing, because it's like, how simple life would be if you don't think too much. It's just, you just let life flow, and that's what I'm trying to work on. But what I'm trying to say, guys, is just to stay focused on what you want to accomplish, and eventually it will come to you. So see you guys later.